All right, well, let me just tweet this stuff out and then we'll get started on just discussing everything. I'm just going to tweet on my phone as well. Just give me a second. Should retweet this stuff and then see what happens. See, I'm very negative about it, but it is what it is, and it's like it's boxing because that's what I'm used to.
What do you think? What do you call it? Send the link out.
Yeah. Just gonna put it in the chat. All right, cool. Let's start. So basically, welcome back. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Ringside Fracas. This is a special impromptu episode just for the recent tweets about AJ and Fury. If you haven't seen, so Tyson Fury recently called out AJ. I think it was today mainly, but he's been calling out Anthony Joshua because Alexander Usyk has said he cannot make a fight this year. He's got a bit of injuries. He can't make the undisputed fight. So now Fury's turned the attention to AJ, saying, "Okay, let's make that fight happen." And AJ's recently responded, saying, "Give us an offer, and we'll see." So we're just going to take today a few minutes just to break that down and what's the likelihood of that happening, the history behind it, and everything. And I brought A1 with me today. You might remember him from the Inoue watch along that we had, which was a brilliant watch along, and can't wait to do that again in December. Yeah. How are you, A1?
I'm good, man. Good, man. How about you, man?
Good. I mean, it's a lot to break. It's a lot to cover. So let's get into it. I mean, so Tyson fought last in April, which was against Dillian White, and now it's been a bit flip floppy, isn't it? He said, "Oh, I've retired. I don't want to fight anymore. I want to fight Francis Ngannou in a mixed MMA fight." But then he wasn't giving up the belt for so long, and then recently he said no. And then he said before the AJ Usyk fight, he said, "I'll fight AJ for free if he wins, and if Usyk wins, well, you have to give me half a billion to fight him." I mean, and then now he said he's come out of retirement. He's not going to retire. He's going to keep the belt. I mean, there's loads been going on with him. He hasn't really kept a straight, consistent tone, and that's why when it comes to this call out with AJ, and he says he wants to make the fight in December, and AJ has said after the Usyk fight he wants to fight in December, and he wants to be more active now, and AJ just recently replied saying that let's do it, make the offer. But the thing about Fury is because he's so flip flop, and because of the business of boxing, I'm not too confident by it. What are your thoughts of Fury calling out AJ?
I think it's a lot of bullcrap. He does this all the time anyway, on Twitter and all that. First of all, there's a reason why AJ's actually asked for the offer. It's probably going to be some joke like 70-30, 80-20 offer. Because obviously right now,
I don't expect anything higher than 80 to 20 for anything higher than 20% for AJ. Like that's what they're going to do.
They're not going to give him anything. And obviously, there is no way AJ's saying yes to that. There's just no way. There's no way, because especially with his brand, the fact that he was champion before, and just his stock in general, he still sells out stadiums. He's a big draw. He's never taken 20%. He won't even take 30. He won't even take 30. Yeah. So for me, they're gonna give a joke offer to Hearn and them, man, and they're gonna say no. That's what's gonna happen. And then the narrative is just gonna be like, oh, AJ ducked Fury and all that crap. But I'm just used to it because Fury, 90% of what he says is just a load of bullcrap, innit? So I'm not expecting much. I'm not surprised Usyk has called for a bit of time. I don't even know if he'll actually. I don't know. I don't trust Fury taking the Usyk fight as well. When the time will come, he's saying they both won it and whatnot. That's what we heard for the first undisputed fight. I didn't think Fury was that. When there was talk of the AJ rematch with Usyk, he didn't look that keen at the time to take that fight. now we're at a stage where that's the main fight that has to happen. Yeah, it's for me, there's a bit of doubt there because I just don't
Yeah,
trust what he has to say.
and we've seen this a lot of times in boxing. A lot of people don't realize that in the business of boxing, a promoter's job is varied. But one of the things that a promoter wants to do, especially when you got fighters like AJ, Wilder, and Fury, during the time that they were champions and they were, top, is to control the narrative. You want to control how the public perceives the fighter and how the fighter, what the public perceives of the fighter's challenges. So a lot of the fight between Eddie and Shelley Finkel, which was Deontay Wilder's promoter during like 2017 to
2018.
2019, yeah, 2018 time, was to try to control the narrative of who ducked who between AJ and Wilder. So there's all this back and forth. We sent them emails, we sent them this offer, we send them this rubbish offer, and all this back and forth because both promoters don't want to show their fighters rejecting that fight, whichever way it goes. The same thing will happen here, where, and it's been going on for a few years, but it'll still have, it's still going on here. Fury sees that AJ's lost to Usyk, and Usyk's not going to fight in December. He's not going to fight this year at all. He's going to fight next year, early next year. So Fury, I think he is serious about keeping on, like staying on and fighting. I think there is a bit of credibility to him fighting Usyk. I think he wants to fight Usyk. The issue is he wants to stay ready in December, but he knows that he has an opponent in mind. He's just doing this because his PR and his mind games when it comes to controlling the public narrative recently has been, like, in the last few years, has been elite. Like, to a lot of the public, he's untouchable. Like, not like anything he does, it just gets blossomed over. No one cares. A lot of people have caught on to some of his rubbish that come from him, but he's still here trying to control the narrative. Where, like I said, I think he's calling out Joshua because he knows Joshua just lost to Usyk. He has nothing. He doesn't have a belt. He's on 2 losses now, so he needs to build back momentum to get back into the world title contention mix and all that. And he knows that he can offer this fight to AJ, and the fans will go crazy because there is still big interest in this fight. People want to see AJ Fury. People want to see AJ Wilder. What's the common factor? People want to see AJ fight those 2 guys. So AJ has a huge stake in that, and that was my point I was making on when I was tweeting, was that AJ has a huge factor, and like you said, his brand is huge. He's not going to take this low ball offer, like, but that's what Fury's doing. Where what I think is he's going to send him that low ball offer. The management aren't going to let him fight Fury for that money. Especially, I still think it's 100 million plus revenue wise fight for both fighters. Like, they'll make.
Yeah, they'll all, but the split, there's no way.
Yeah, that's the thing. The low ball split. Remember Dillian White and Fury? I mean, that took so long.
Yeah, Dillian White didn't want to take 20%. Never mind.
Yeah, and then he was forced to take that anyway. And then, it's the same thing here where I don't think Fury's scared of AJ or anything. It's just, if I fight him, if he accepts this, fair enough, I'll fight him and I'll get so much money from it and he won't get that much. Or do this where I can take a warm-up fight, because he was calling out that guy Mahmoud Shah. He's like bodybuilder. He's literally a bodybuilder. Everyone calls AJ bodybuilder. Mahmoud looks like a bodybuilder. Hasn't really beaten anyone. He had the WBA regular for a bit, and then he kind of was inactive.
Yeah.
And then he recently called out Fury. Like, he'll take that type of fight. So, and then he would be validated because he says, well, AJ didn't want to fight me. He didn't take the offer. So I need to fight someone. And Joe Joyce and Joseph Parker obviously are now fighting, and the WBC haven't sorted out the mandatory issue, which who is the mandatory for, because Dillian White just fought.
Yeah, exactly. So just fought.
He'll fight Mahmoud in December, and then he'll be ready to fight. Because that's a warm up for him. He'll be ready to fight. What's his name? Usyk in next year, by early next year. He did the same thing against Wilder, where he fought Wilder in 2018, then he fought Schwartz and Wallin. There's 2 of those fights he did for no reason. Like, they're not top guys at all. Like, at all. They weren't top 10 guys in the slightest. You could have taken on one easy fight and then the top 10. Took on none of them. But he took on Wilder, and you got to give him credit for that. But the 2 fights in between, he could have fought someone decent, at least, like a Luis Ortiz even, or someone like but he didn't.
I think he just took the Well, Schwartz wasn't a mandatory, was he? He wasn't a
No,
mandatory.
they were ranked in the WBO, and like you know how the organizational rankings is.
Yeah,
You don't have to be a top 10
yeah,
actual fighter. You can be in the top 10 of the
yeah. Because
ranking.
Dillian White was mandatory for years,
Yeah,
man.
but yeah,
Ages.
I
He
don't really
never
use
took. Yeah, no.
I don't
But
really use Dylan as an example anymore because of what he produced, like his performance. Being that long of a
yeah, I
mandatory
don't
and then
blame.
putting in that performance was very
I
shocking.
don't blame him, man.
But that's
I
the thing
think
with Fury.
I'll be honest. I think in the lead up, I could tell this guy has no motivation for this fight at all. Even in the lead up to it, he barely said anything. But,
I,
but people were like, "Oh, he might be serious. He might just be quiet. He might be serious training." I'm like,
yeah,
after all the dispute and all the words and how bitter he is of what he actually, the terms and conditions and all that.
yeah.
I was like, nah, this guy is not gonna put up a good performance. I was
No.
hoping, but nah,
I
he
mean that.
wasn't serious.
I mean, I didn't expect him to win. I expected him to go out and do his best, and that performance really did plummet
That
his.
wasn't him. That was not him. He's a lot better than that,
He
in my
is,
opinion.
but he is, but I don't know. It's just yeah, it just didn't look like it looked like he prepared the tactics. The tactics were okay. The issue was the execution, and
Execution, yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
just couldn't do anything, and his stock plummeted a lot. But getting back on track with the Fury was with Fury, it's he wants to be active, but he doesn't want to be active taking on too many hard fights in a row. Like
Mm.
he'd rather take easy fights. I think even Fury was probably surprised at how easy the Dylan White fight was for him. I'll be real. I rate Tyson Fury as the best skilled heavyweight right now, but that fight didn't require much skill from him to win. He just stuck to the basics, and White fell into it because White was
It's a
on the map.
good win on his resume. That's it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you can't take that away from him. And that's the thing about Fury, where also I think one thing that plays on his mind is the Wilder fights, because
Yeah,
in those two fights, so the first and the third, he's been knocked down 4 times, and they're hard knockdowns. Well, three of them were proper hard knockdowns. Like that takes a lot out of a guy, especially for the fact that he left the sport. Obviously, he had the drugs ban that no
yeah.
one talks about, but and he went up to like 400 pounds and came back down. It affects your resistance, it affects your body, it affects you physically. So I think you can also tell that he's physically feeling the effects of it. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him declining physically. Tyson, I think what we commented when we were watching the Wilder fight, the third one, was you could tell that both fighters, they had heart and they had brilliant heart in it, but the technical level kind of dropped between the second and the third fight. Wilder had a better tactic where you go into the jab and then hitting the right hand, much better. But Fury, you could tell, was a bit off it, and he was walking into those right hands, but then obviously he took over. And I think the thing with Fury is he'll take on guys like Usyk and Joshua, but he'll take them on at a leisure, so he won't take them on in succession because he wants to take care of his body. And I don't think he's got that many years left in the sport. I'd be surprised if Tyson Fury would be fighting in 2024, like to
Yeah,
take that damage.
oh yeah, yeah. I think he'll. I think look, what's gonna happen. I think he'll fight. He'll fight in December. I think he'll fight in around March, April time. And then if he wins, he beats Usyk, then he'll call it a day. If he doesn't, then he obviously will try and win the rematch. They'll obviously make a rematch clause in there.
Yeah.
If he loses that, then obviously he's gonna call it a day. If he wins, I think he gets the belts and he might call it a day from there. I think max 2-3 fights. I think max at the very
Yeah.
max. I don't see him continuing for that much longer after
Yeah.
that.
And the
Yeah.
thing with this fight is there's so much money on the line.
Mm.
You don't want to do it when AJ is on 2 losses because the money does go down. The interest does kind of there's still big interest, but it's kind of decreased because AJ's lost twice. And AJ coming off a loss twice, they're arguing me those questions is like how big can this fight be promoted? Because AJ is on 2 losses right now. Like he hasn't got a win. Momentum does mean a lot in boxing. If a guy's got a win and he's got a bit of momentum, then you can propel fights bigger and you can make them a bit more bigger. So I think Fury knows what he's doing. He knows both teams won't make this fight happen in December, especially when AJ losing. Or they'd rather, the best scenario for them is AJ beats Wilder and then Fury beats Usyk, and then Fury Joshua happens. Then
Fury Joshua happens, yeah, exactly.
I mean, that would be huge. I mean, the people wouldn't, no one would complain, like people would be watching it. But that's the thing, though. He's controlling the narrative here, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the main
look,
thing.
I'm the guy. I'm calling him out, but he doesn't want to fight me now, so I'm gonna go fight him, and then I'm gonna go fight Usyk. I'll beat Usyk, and once I beat Usyk, you'll see that I'm much better than him. And then if Joshua comes around to beating a few guys, the fight could happen, but I don't think it happens now. I think it's just all smoke talk. And AJ had a good response in his tweet where he said, he was like, I don't do all this online talk. Just send the offer and we'll see then. Innit? Like, I'll fight you, but send the offer and we'll see then.
Because he knows he's not serious.
Yeah.
He's not serious with the offer,
bro. My man,
it's all PR, innit? It's all PR, like you said, innit?
My man woke up his wife at 10 a.m. and said, get the phone ready, and then got his dogs up. He went like that. Like, AJ, I'm going to fight Anthony Joshua. I want to fight you in a battle of Britannia. Yeah, take the fight. Like, you can tell the guy's not serious. Like, public call-outs like that in your own house. Like, what? Like, you can tell that's not serious. Like, business is business. Send the offer. They haven't sent an offer. It was just less.
He wasn't saying anything when the arbitration and all that was happening, was he?
No,
but they were silent at that time.
Yeah, but
nothing had happened.
I mean, yeah, legally they were screwed because they didn't sort that out on their part. And
well, they should have. They had the option to like months ago before it actually happened.
Yeah, and they didn't, and that's why I don't take this seriously. The guy, like I said, he woke up at 10 a.m., got his wife on the phone to record, and just got the belts and just started talking crap because probably Frank Warren sent an email like, "Come on, we need," or his PR agent sent him an email like, "Come on, we need to start some."
People love him though.
Yeah,
people love him. Like no one questions him like that.
Yeah, I was at the So WWE recently had a pay-per-view event in Cardiff, and I was up there, and Tyson was there, and the reaction to Tyson being there was huge. I mean, his PR agent is working. Like that guy should get paid overtime because
man.
He's going on WWE, he's going on so many stuff. Like people love him, so the narrative is now sort of on him. Like he's benefiting from everything. He's sort of getting his profile huge. But the one thing that I do question is his selling ability, because I think he can sell. The issue is we haven't got the Fury White pay-per-view numbers, and that was in April. It's been months. If it did well, Frank would be shouting from the rooftops, like, "Oh, this did over 1 million pay-per-view buys." So I'm kind of thinking that it didn't, and that Fury.
Frank would have definitely gassed out.
Yeah. No, he hasn't had a huge pay-per-view in time. Frank, I can't remember the last, other than Wilder, but I don't really credit Frank with Fury too much, because the Fury Wilder, because that's just Bob Arum mainly.
That's Bob Arum. Yeah, in the US.
Frank is just a side guy when it comes to it. I'll give Frank credit for the Fury White stuff, although it was mainly Bob Arum, because he gave Frank the 40 million for the purse bid to get that done. But he couldn't provide the numbers for that. I don't know how well it did in the US. I don't know how well it did. We don't know how well it did in the UK.
I don't think it did very well in the US. I'll be honest.
Yeah, so that's why even Bob Arum hasn't said anything, and you would expect that they would.
I don't think that is the type of fight to do well in the US anyway. If you're going straight off name and whatnot, because Fury is big, but he's not 1 million pay-per-view buys type in the US. Yeah. When you're fighting someone like Dillian White, Dillian White's name isn't about like that. It's domestically it's very big, but worldwide it's not very big. When you put Wilder in there, that's two giants.
Yeah.
Name wise, that's obviously gonna do numbers. So and even an AJ fight, it will do numbers because again it's AJ.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And that's the thing. Like Fury's got the skills, but I think still his brand is huge, but he'll still need that heavyweight giant to crack.
Yeah, exactly.
Over 1 million.
I mean, not necessarily domestically, but globally. Yeah.
And one of the things a lot of people said, and I've also maintained, is that if AJ Wilder was made and Fury Usyk was made in the same month, not on the same date, but in the same month, you'd see AJ Wilder get more pay-per-view buys than Fury Usyk. More people would tune into AJ Wilder, even though the stakes are higher for Fury Usyk.
Yeah.
Buys,
Because of the bad
threshold,
blood, the history between them.
the fact that they're both punchers, AJ the selling point, and that fight we've been wanting since 2018 as well. So like that would be huge, and I think commercially bigger than Fury and Usyk, because Usyk still, he's known, but he's still getting up there, and Fury as well. He needs, like I said, he needs a dance partner to get above 1 million pay-per-view buys.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. So let's just go into where AJ goes from here. I mean, obviously he got the 2 losses to Usyk, so and this has just come up. If the fight happens, you got to credit AJ, because he's taken on Usyk twice now, and he's taken on Fury. I mean, those are probably the toughest fights. And then obviously there's Wilder, but they're the toughest fights right now you could take on the division. And taking them on back to back is it's no easy feat. That's like in 16 months you took on three fights with the hardest guys in division. So credit to him. But I don't see it happening. I think with AJ, he probably fights someone like Zhang, someone in the top 15, where they know he'll beat him, but they can sell a stadium. So with Zhang, you could go to like China and sell out a stadium there in Beijing, or someone where you can sell out a stadium and then get his confidence back and then get some momentum rolling. Eddie said he wanted him to fight four times till the end of next year. I don't see
4 times a lot. I don't see that happening either.
Especially the way AJ's been fighting, not really. But I think what could happen is he fights someone like Zhang, maybe. Then he fights early next year Dillian White in a rematch. Or maybe he could fight Dillian White in December, but I think it's more likely to happen. But I think that's more likely to happen in early next year, because Dillian said he wants to fight in December. So if both AJ and Dillian fight someone in December and get wins, because they need wins now, then you can prop that fight a bit. And obviously AJ White too will sell because of their bad blood and all that. And then from then you'll see if he takes on a Wilder or a Fury, he builds himself back. But what do you think about AJ, where he could go and what he could do?
I think for now, I think he has to look at a decent. He doesn't need to fight someone big right now in December. Get some time with. I don't think he's gonna be with Robert Garcia, whatever. But if he is, by the 10% chance that he is, get some time with him, learn, get his mojo back. You know what I'm saying? The camp in leading up to Usyk was not a very comfortable camp, in my opinion. It didn't look like it from the outside, that everything was all well there. So if he's gonna be with this trainer, stick to him and carry on, and then take a decent fight. For me, I thought he could fight Dillian White in December, because they're both looking to fight in December. I know Dillian White wants to fight in December, and AJ is obviously getting lined up so they could fight there. Numbers, crowd, good fight to maybe get the stock up as well. All of these things, but I think if I'm going to be honest, it's probably something for February, March time next year. Yeah. I think that's it, leading up to when the undisputed fight happens with Fury and Usyk and whatnot, and then whatever happens through that happens. Like everything together will make the next fight. If that makes sense. Yeah. So for now, I think someone like Zhang, but I don't think that'll do much numbers. But for him, he doesn't need that now. He doesn't need that, in my opinion. It'll do numbers obviously over there, but no, I think that obviously Joseph Parker fighting. So obviously you can't really do much there. But for now, yeah, I think for now he should just take someone in the top 10, top 15, fight them, sell out maybe the O2 or something like that early on, and then look to build from there. But he needs to get some clarity with his team. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy there, but some sort of clarity with the coach, and just move over to LA or someone to get a good coach, and then just build from there, in my opinion, because all's not good in the camp, and he's having this sort of identity crisis mentally, and the way he wants to fight as well. So I think from there, he needs to build from that. I think first.
AJ shouldn't fight till next year. It would be stupid if he took the fight, in my opinion. I mean, I think he should fight in December, but
Yeah, he
not a
should.
top level guy. Like we said, a top 15 guy, yeah. And just like you said, get if it's Rob Garcia is your coach, which we don't know if there's going to be or not, sort that out and get to work with working on what needs to be improved and how to become better, basically. Zhang would be look. Zhang would be an easy touch for AJ. Like, I'm not saying like,
Yeah,
oh,
of course.
like obviously anything can happen in heavyweight boxing, but Zhang's not really that mobile. He doesn't really move. He takes a lot of shots. Doesn't move his head off the station, off the center line. He's old as well. It's not a fight that like you're looking at to build AJ's resume. It's just there to just you need some people need like he's not like a Fury. Like credit to Fury, he went with Sugar Hill Stewart and literally went into the Wilder fight and took Wilder out because he saw with Ben Davison there was some things they still need to work on, especially after Otto won in. He changed to Sugar Hill Stewart and went straight into the Wilder fight and completely dominated Wilder. Some fighters can take that one fight and with their coach they're quick, they can
Yeah,
adapt and change. Some fighters need a few touches to work with their trainer to see what to change, and they need a couple of fights to change everything. And Joshua, if he wants to work with Robert Garcia, Robert can teach him, because Robert said himself he wants to put him in sparring with tough guys. He wants to get him uncomfortable, basically. He wants
he
to get
has
him
to.
pressure better.
That's
Yeah,
the logical way.
and for him, it was bad to go. It's tough to go into a fight, a high level fight like Usyk, with the new trainer and expect everything to go well. Even Triple G had, Jonathan Banks as a new trainer after Abel Sanchez, and you could tell
Yeah, exactly.
it took a few fights for that. It's
Mm.
kind of working. He does look quite good now, but with an established fighter, it does take a lot of some time when you change trainers to it can to change and gel with that trainer. So he should take a top 15 guy. He should fight in December. He in the last 2-3 years he's been really inactive, fighting once a year or sometimes twice a year. I think this in the next 12 months he should have at least three fights. Three fights should be enough. Where he fights in
Mm.
December, March, and then something just in the fall next year, something like that. But yeah, he shouldn't take this. Well, if he no, I can't say he shouldn't take this Fury fight. For his development, it wouldn't make sense. Like you can't get better going into a tougher fight. But you know, if the fight, like I said, we laid out the tactics from what Fury would do. Just lowball him and make sure that if the fight happens, then Fury is on the benefit side of it and AJ is not. So it would be stupid from a business sense if he took the fight. But if he takes the fight, fair enough, you have to say it, and we're all going to enjoy it. So there's that.
Yeah, exactly.
AJ has too many sidemen around him, like Angel Fernandez. I was going to get into that. So Angel Fernandez recently had so he trains, Fraser Clark, and Fraser Clark had Fraser Clark won this weekend, and obviously those interviews with Angel Fernandez as well. And Angel in the interview when they were talking about the Usyk fight was saying, "Oh, we won after 9 rounds, but then obviously it was the last three that like if the fight had ended after 9 rounds, we would have won. But obviously the last 3 rounds we lost. That kind of mentality is very stupid. A fight's always been 12 rounds. We
Mm.
know that at the start. It doesn't matter
Exactly.
if you're winning after 9 rounds, which you weren't. I don't know how they had AJ win. It was very competitive after 9 rounds, but it wasn't close in the slightest. And those championship rounds are called championship rounds for a reason. If you can't finish it in 9, you've got the 3 rounds to put on your best performance, and that's what Usyk did. I don't know, like you said, they are yes men, sidemen. Like they need to be real with him. And like I remember Spencer Oliver went after the fight and talked to him, and he was saying like, "Oh, it was very close. If you just won one more round, you had it close after 10. If you had one more round, you could have won." Like you need to tell him the truth. He looked better than in the last fight, but it still wasn't close, and there's a lot of stuff he needs to work on.
Yeah, if you watch the fight again, I gave him max, if I'm generous, 4 rounds.
Yeah.
Max.
Yeah, it was like the last fight. It was like the last fight
Yeah, it
in
was
terms
that
of
last
scoring.
time.
in terms of scoring, it was like the last fight. The difference was when AJ won his rounds, he won it more clearly this fight than in the other fight.
Yeah. I think this time, his game plan slightly changed. He tried to get him in the body, obviously, and then tried to get him in the later rounds.
Yeah.
I don't think that was always any. I never thought that was a good idea. Usyk always gets strong in the later rounds. He always from round 10 to 12. That
Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. If that's not part of your game, if that's not part of your game plan when you're trying to fight Usyk, when you're coming up with the tactics to fight Usyk, then you're just playing stupid. Usyk is probably in round 12. He's probably one of the greatest round 12.
Greatest, exactly, man. Like, exactly. That's
to plan accordingly. But yeah, the coaching team has to change the structure. There has to be a structure in there. There has to be some people removed from there, because even with the whole post-fight antics, which we'll get into in relation, it's just a shambles. What happened with him and McCracken? So basically, nothing much. But Rob McCracken's so before, Rob McCracken's always been the Olympic British coach, and he's also had his hand in professional boxing. One of his other fighters was Carl Froch. The difference, the thing that happened was, a lot of people early on in AJ's career, when he started going pro and won a title, they thought after AJ beat Charles Martin, he should have moved from Rob McCracken to someone more experienced in the pro boxing, and someone who's going to teach him about like inside fighting, for example, and more aspects about boxing, not just, because he was very he's like he was very likes to fight at range, uses combinations, and he's physically a beast. AJ, he's got quick hands, his combinations are powerful. And then what happened in the Usyk fight, the first fight, a lot of people getting onto Rob McCracken because you kept saying brilliant boxing AJ, but in reality AJ was losing the rounds. And I don't know what happened. I don't know what exactly happened behind the scenes, but he left McCracken, and I think the main reason was McCracken's focus was also on the Olympic team as well. So AJ probably wanted someone, more focused to him, and a change as well, because you need to get a change, and he needed a change in coaches because he needs a coach to teach him more.
He needed that a long time before he actually did it. Anyway. He's. The problem is he wasn't decisive. He went around the whole of America looking for like who wants to be his new coach or who's good for him. He ended up taking Robert Garcia, and in the end the camp wasn't right. Like if the camp is not right, if the preparation is not right, you're not gonna beat this guy. Like you're just not. But I have a slight theory. I think if he was with Rob McCracken for the rematch, I think he would have reverted back to type. And by type, I mean literally inside, try and get the dog out and try and beat him up. But at the same time, that's easier said than done, because obviously Usyk's always moving, his head moving, his footwork, his counter punching is too good. Like it's easier said than done. Like he's amazing. He's amazing because he's too deceptive. You think that, okay, let's rough him up, but he's always moving, and then you get hit by counters, and then you're like, should I go forward or not? But I think if he was with McCracken, I think he would have definitely reverted back to what he used to be.
I don't know about that, Mitch, just because it was just
you tried. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. It was just disappointing from McCracken's end with what he was saying in the corner. I think even McCracken sort of got into that habit of, well, I've got this big two-time heavyweight champion, huge name, one of the biggest names in boxing. I'll be a yes man just so I can keep him on my side and not really get at him. And when Angel Fernandez also got introduced, like I said, there's no structure. You just brought this guy in, and he's sort of having his say in the corner as well. Like there's no proper structure in there, so the tactics can get muddled up, and you're working on one thing, you're working on the other, and that's the thing. I think like I said, he needs to sort out the structure in that corner. Tyson would knock Usyk out early, though, I'm afraid. Yeah, he probably could knock him out. People forget that Tyson, while he doesn't have like the quickest, like the most snappiest punch, where like a Wilder or AJ, he does have he weighs a lot. He's huge and he weighs a lot. When he punches, you feel it. And you look at White, that uppercut landed, and it took him out. I think it would be a very technical fight. Usyk would have to work on his in and out movement, getting in, getting out, counter punching, and Tyson would just have to be physical and be like how he used to be, but where where he used to use his size, wear and tear on people. It's raining very loud. Wear and tear, where he just gets on them, uses his size, leans over on them, puts his weight on them, and makes them tired. Because if he makes Usyk tired, it makes it easier fight for him. Because obviously, Usyk's not as mobile. I think Usyk is technically the better boxer than Tyson, but Tyson is a smart enough boxer to use the physical advantages that he has. Like, he keeps calling him a middleweight for a reason. Obviously, he's not a middleweight, but he basically referring to he's just that small, and he's not going to lose to a guy that's small that. It'll be a good fight though, and when that gets announced, we'll see what happens. But it'll be a fun fight.
I think for Usyk, I think that'll be a bit too. I think it'll be a step too far, because I think Fury, he moves a lot. He'll just stay behind the jab, and I think Usyk would have to and his range is just too much. I think that's why he'll just hold him off, and I think just pick him off through there. I think Usyk would have to come a lot more inside. And if he comes a lot more inside, that's dangerous against someone like Fury. So yeah. I think in the end, I think it will be a good. I don't think he'll knock him out early.
Yeah.
I also think there's a chance that it could even go to decision. But I think Fury. I think that's a bit step too far. I think for Usyk, because of the size and the range, and because of Fury's style. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right, and that's the thing is like with Usyk is, but to be honest, we said that when Usyk first came into the heavyweight division, that the likes of AJ, the likes of Wilder, the likes of Fury would be too big, and look what he did to AJ. So you never know with Usyk, you can't count that guy out completely.
Yeah, you can never. You can't do that.
Is Andy Ruiz an option for Fury, or is he set on Wilder? So he's set on Wilder. Right now, he's set on Wilder because it's an easy fight to make for them, because obviously they're both PBC.
Yeah, PBC.
They both need a big win, and domestically, that fight actually sells. I think in the US, they actually do a couple of numbers in there. Probably does like 800K. No, 800K. I think it would do on pay-per-view. To above.
A bit less than that.
No, because obviously they're going to use the fact that Ruiz beat AJ, and that obviously Wilder's Wilder. Maybe
800K is a lot, man. And 800K is a lot, especially when Andy Ruiz has barely been active over the last couple of years, and his performances recently been trash. So bad.
You're right about that. Yeah, it would depend. It's still a big fight domestically for the Americans, and we want to see it. He can't be an option for Fury because the fight between him and Ortiz was a WBC heavyweight title eliminator. But that's the problem with these organizations. It's not a mandatory. It's just an eliminator. So essentially, it's just when we're thinking of a mandatory title, we're going to put it in order, and you've just put yourself up in the order to get yourself near a mandatory shot. It's very weird how they do it. Like the Joyce Parker one, there's a WBO interim for some reason on the line. And I'm presuming it's a WBC heavyweight title eliminated because Joyce and Parker are both number 2 and number 3 in the WBC rankings. So Americans love a Mexican versus black fighter. It does big numbers. Yeah, it could do. Yeah, and they both got, like I said, they both have done big pay-per-views in America. Obviously, Andy Ruiz when he fought AJ the first time, and Wilder with the Fury fights. So I think it does 500K plus. I think minimum it will do 500K. It has to do over 500K.
Yeah, it will do 500K.
Yeah.
It would do 500K, I think.
And it's a fight I want to see. I think Ruiz loses, but it depends on how Wilder looks against Helenius in October. So, yeah. Do you think Tyson Loki wanted AJ to win for an easier fight at moment? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, of course.
100%. I still think AJ can win that fight, but I don't think he will. But yeah, he wanted AJ because if AJ beat Usyk, the narrative, what would have happened in boxing is that we would have been saying that AJ is a better win than anything. There would have been debates between whether the Wilder win or the Usyk win is better, and and the momentum for AJ comes back. Okay, he lost, but then he adjusted and won again, and the momentum starts rolling, and it's for undisputed. It's in Britain, it's in Wembley probably, and there's money in it, and stylistically maybe is probably an easier fight for Tyson. But and he even said I'd fight him for free. That was obviously a bull crap, and he said I'd fight Usyk for $500 million. He's been very negative when it came to Usyk because even before Usyk was champion, he was saying, "Oh, he's a foreigner, he's unknown." Like he was giving really rubbish reasons for why he wouldn't fight him. Like, "Oh, he's a foreigner, he's unknown, he's not this, he's not that." And I'm like, "What?" Like, like they're not proper reasons to not fight him. But now he's been saying he's won the fights, and because obviously now Usyk has the other belts, so he's got to do it. What do you think? Do you think Tyson wanted AJ to win?
Yeah, because it's more money,
Yeah.
and for him, is probably he probably thinks he can stop him quite easily. I think he probably could as well. He could have, but more money, more reach as well. The Usyk fight is not, to be fair, doesn't do much for him. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously Usyk name wise, pound for pound, all of that, but no one's looking at that Usyk fight and saying, okay, I really want to see that. Like obviously we do,
Yeah.
but people want to see the AJ fight more.
Yeah.
And obviously because it's been talked about for longer, it does more for him. You know, if he beats AJ, it does more for him on his record. Because obviously Usyk's naturally a cruiserweight, so he's not really a heavyweight. Obviously, if he was the same weight, that's different conversation. But yeah, I think he did. I think in the end, though, he doesn't. I think he's gonna fight Usyk. I think there's a reason why he is calling out AJ, because first of all, control the narrative.
Yeah.
To basically, if AJ says no, then he looks better. Number two, AJ is going to be AJ's big name, yeah. So if he fights him now when his stock is low, and when he could take advantage of him when he's weak, it's a good opportunity for him if he somehow took the offer. But that's not happening, as we said already.
Yeah. So Wilder hasn't been in the guy like Ruiz. He's probably got the fastest hands of any heavyweight. If you've watched Ruiz's last two fights against Areola and Luis Ortiz, you wouldn't bet. Trust me, if you had to bet between Wilder and Ruiz, obviously we need to see how Wilder looks against Helenius, but you wouldn't really be too confident on Ruiz winning. It's a very intriguing fight. It's a good fight, but his last performances have been very poor, and we're gonna get into that tomorrow on a episode podcast where we're gonna break down Ruiz Ortiz, Liam Smith versus Hassan and Makino, and Dan Aziz versus Shaq and Peter. So tune into that next tomorrow, and we'll cover that more in detail. Usyk or Tyson, who wins? Right now, you have to favor Tyson. Really, it just looks, he just looks like the guy to beat him. He can negate all that mobility. He can wear on him. The punches are gonna be heavier, but we'll see. Usyk can take a punch though, and he's very smart when it comes to in-fight adjustments. Usyk's brilliant at in-fight adjustments.
Yeah.
His stamina is second to nothing. He's peppering you. Is there anything else we need to cover? I think we've covered most of it about Fury and Joshua mainly, and what there is. Hopefully we get the fight. If we get the fight in December, I'm not complaining. I don't think many will complain. But yeah, I hope we get that. If anyone's got any questions, quickly put them in while I do this outro. So quickly put your questions in if you've got any questions, or we'll end it there. But yeah, like I was saying, if it happens, it happens. I'm not saying nothing. But boxing, if you've seen the business in boxing, you know that certain things don't happen for a reason. We're still waiting for Errol Spence, Terence Crawford. We're still waiting for big fights. They don't happen for reasons. And to assume that this fight would happen in December just off the back of a public call out is very naive to think so. But it gets it gets a lot of the casual fans going. I mean, I've seen a lot of internet traffic recently now. People getting excited for it, thinking about it and all that. So Beterbiev, Callum Smith. Will it happen, and who wins? Do you want to take that?
Oh, it's pretty obvious, isn't it, man? Flipping Callum Smith, mate. No chance, bro. No chance, man. He's too good, man. He's gonna either run through him or he stays on the back foot. He's gonna, in the end, you're just gonna run through him. There's nothing Callum Smith can do, in my opinion. That's it's obvious.
Yeah, I think it happens, not soon. So Beterbiev's out with injury, and he has to defend against Anthony Yard, because Anthony Yard's the WBO mandatory. Once that happens, yeah, I think Beterbiev. I think Callum Smith's got good counterpunching. The issue is, I think he against the Canelo fight, which he got pushed back too easily, and I think Beterbiev will push him back. Callum has that one punch and that punch power to knock out Beterbiev or drop Beterbiev at least, but he just gives up too much space easily.
Yeah,
and I think against someone like a puncher like Beterbiev, who's a brilliant boxer as well, like his boxing is underrated. I think he's a better boxer than Callum, and I would rate him as a better boxer than Callum Smith. I think Callum will probably get stopped in the middle rounds, or it's either Callum goes out trying to knock him out and gets knocked out himself, or Callum shells up like he did against Canelo, and he just gets backed up, and he just survives the fight and takes Beterbiev to a UD. Because I've seen Callum in that Canelo fight. Canelo's brilliant, don't get me wrong, but Callum too easily gave him the space, shelled up, and it was just there to survive. Is he hating on my man? No way, it's obvious. I mean, it's a good fight. He's not hating.
Beterbiev's too good, man.
It's that thing, isn't it? Yeah, it's Beterbiev is just too good of a fighter right now for you to bet against him with anyone, because even Bivol, which is the next comment, even Bivol, I don't know if Bivol can beat Beterbiev. So Bivol Ramirez, how do you think about that one?
That's a good fight. That's a much more closer fight. Size as well. It's not easy for Bivol, that fight. I rate him for taking it, but I have him edging it though, just about. But Ramirez, that's a tough opponent. That's not someone I can say like is easily gonna lose to him. That's a very good fight in my opinion.
Yeah, it is a tough fight for Bivol. It's one of the best fights in the light heavyweight division right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Ramirez has proved himself to be a proper top contender in the light heavyweight division. He's very good offensively, but he's going to have trouble with Bivol, because Bivol's footwork is amazing. The way he uses his jab, his 1-2s, he's gonna hit, going to move a lot. He's going to let Ramirez come to him, and it depends on how Ramirez weighs in, because Ramirez in his last fight weighed in at 204 pounds on the fight night. If you weigh in that heavily, I don't think he can catch up to Bivol, and Bivol can easily box his way to a UD. But Ramirez has that punching ability where if he does land on Bivol, we don't know how Bivol will take it, and if Bivol can take it. He's taken punches from Joe Smith Jr. though, and he hasn't gone down, and he's completely outboxed Joe Smith Jr. I expect Bivol to win it completely. So, shelled up with ruined bicep weight joint. Yeah, but the ruined bicep was from Canelo. You thinking Beterbiev won't ruin him? That was a great episode, guys. Again, tomorrow we're gonna have a Zudo easily. Yeah. If you beat Bivol beats, I think you mean Bivol. I don't know who Burchuk is, but yeah, Bivol. Yeah, if you think that, fair enough. Yeah, Zodo has some decent wins, Gonzalez and stuff. But yeah, yeah, it was a great episode, guys. We're gonna have an episode tomorrow. If you have any questions, come tomorrow. We're gonna have an episode covering Ruiz Ortiz, Liam Smith, and Hassan Mquino, and Dan Aziz Shaq and Pitter. So tune in then with your questions, and we'll see you in tomorrow. Peace.
Good luck, guys.